Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 21st session of this Ramadan Tafseer. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa afdalu salati wa atammu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Today's three surahs are Ar-Rum, Surah Al-Rum, the Romans, Surah Al-Luqman, the wise man, and Surah Al-Ahzab, the confederates. The first two are Makki surahs, and the last one is a Madani surah. So the first one, Surah Al-Rum, is about the Romans, and this is giving truth to the words that the Prophet ﷺ brought, and this was him informing us that the Romans will be victorious over the Persians, and this came to be true not long after this surah was revealed. And in this surah we have talks about the end of times. It talks about glancing at the existence around us, mentions things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His oneness, as well as the Qurayshi disbelievers, who what the ends will be like, as a consoling to the Prophet ﷺ, that they're on falsehood and they're on the wrong, to console the Prophet ﷺ. In Surah Al-Luqman, the wise, he gave 8 wills to his son. This is now similar to the Prophet ﷺ to us. How is he? He is like a father to us. بِمَنْزِلَةِ وَالِدِي لِوَالِدِهِ, that he's like a father to children, and he's like a father figure to all of us. That's why he cares about us so much. And his last words were ummati, 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 that it was all about his people, his ummah, that it was the last words of the Prophet ﷺ, that he had concern with. It mentions the book, how it is a miracle, and it mentions the warnings about the last day as well as proofs and evidence about the oneness and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creation, and there was verses to do with that. And it talks about An-Nadhr bin al-Harith, his claim that we will see in the ayahs coming today. As for Surah Al-Ahzab, the conference, is about the battle. This is the battle, the Khandaq, the third battle in Islam, when the Muslims were attacked. Well, they were besieged from all sides, as we'll see in the ayah today. And on top of that, we had the hypocrites amongst us, as well as the unfriendly and treacherous neighbors of the Banu Qurayza, the Banu Israeli tribe in Medina. The first verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ hum غافلون. So Allah uses hum twice, the dhamir, a pronoun, and here it's to kind of restrict it to specifically who is it that they, about the akhirah, these people, they are ghafilun. And when you use ghafilun as well, that they're negligent, it uses it in a noun form that is proven, not a verb form, a noun form that kind of says they're continuously in this negligence of them. So this is Allah saying they know something superficial of this worldly life. They know only the flakes, the top, the crust of this worldly life, the apparentness of it, and they don't know what's the inner of it, the inner lessons of this dunya, and of the hereafter. They're negligent. So yeah, they know more about this world, just the top of the world. They don't know the inner meanings and hidden what's this world really about, this deception of this world, and that the reality is the akhirah, and they know really little about it. So Allah says hum twice in this, to kind of say them about this akhirah, specifically about the akhirah, they were negligent and continues to be so. In the next verse, Allah says, Allahu alladhi khalaqakum thumma razaqakum thumma yumitukum thumma yuhyikum. So Allah says thumma multiple times, then, that He is the one who's created you, alladhi khalaqakum, He is al-khaliq, thumma razaqakum, He is the razik, the sustainer, the provider, after being the creator, who الذي يميتكم, He is the one, ثم يميتكم, He is the one who brings death, هو المميت, He is the one who causes us to die, and He is ثم يحييكم, He is the one who gives us life, He is the muhyi as well, muhyi wal mumit. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used in this whole verse rhymed prose, and it's like as if it's like a pearls, one arranged after another in a set. How it says ثم خلقكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم, as He says in the verse. In the next verse, Allah says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي لَحْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَيَتَّخِذَهَا هُزُوًا أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. Surah Al-Luqman, where there is a man among the people, and this is that man Nadr bin al-Harith. He brought musical instruments and even singers, women singers, who he wanted to get people's attention away from the Quran. And he said, there is a man, Allah SWT says, there is a man among the people who buys discourses. مَنْ يَشْتَرِي لَحْوَ الْحَدِيثِ. So he buys discourses in talks and amusements for people. And here that is an isti'ara, is a metaphor, as if he's trading his deen for this dunya, and he's in that buying sense. Is someone who buys. That's kind of a state of a man who buys and he's getting into loss. He ends up in loss. So similarly, he's losing the akhirah by what his actions were in buying all these musical instruments, buying this, because he said that the Prophet ﷺ, what he's brought is there's no benefit in it, is useless. This is better than that. That was his claims. There's a man among the people who buys discourses of distracting amusements so that he may mislead from the way of Allah and make a mockery of it. And that's what he was doing. He was making mockery of Islam. For such people, there is a disgraceful punishment that Allah SWT says in the end. And finally, the last verse from Surah Al-Ahzab, the Confederates: إِذْ جَاءُوكُم مِّن فَوْقِكُمْ وَمِنْ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ وَإِذْ زَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارُ وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. Recall when they came upon you. So this is about the battle that they were besieged, the Muslims in Medina, having hypocrites inside as well, and the Banu Qurayza, our neighbors, were the most treacherous, the Jewish tribe, and from all sides, the tribes of Ghatfan, the tribes of the Quraysh of Makkah, and all the other Arab tribes who were helping them, who came from all sides, enclosing them from every single place. Remember when they came upon you from above you, from below you, and when your eyes were distracted, and the hearts reached the throats. وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ. Their hearts reached the throats. It's that beating, the palpitation, and that fear that they had. That is also not describing this through rhetoric. And you were thinking, the Muslims were thinking, and the munafiq, the disbelievers, the hypocrites were thinking about Allah, all sorts of thoughts. So this was a test. Allah sends test upon His creation to remove the cream from to have the creme de la creme, from the cream for the milk, in a sense, that the Muslims or the true beliefs away from the munafiq, the hypocrites. And to do that, Allah tests us to show who has the one who has iman and true iman, and who has that who is just worshipping Allah on a harf, on a letter. He just on an edge. If they feel like it, they'll worship Allah. If they don't, they go on both sides. So here Allah is trying to separate that, and that is by tests. He tested his prophets. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't have a child until he was 90, and when he had a child, Ismail alayhi salam first, before Ishaq, what was he ordered to slaughter him? So this is a test. Can you imagine, after all 90 years, finally you get a child and you have to slaughter him? So this was a test upon the prophets who had the most hardest of tests, to show how high the levels is, because they passed those tests. And as we have Ayyub alayhi salam in his illness as well, that severe test, his family went away from him, his family didn't recognize him, his children went away. When he had wealth, but all that went away. This was tests even for our Prophet ﷺ. All of them had tests, and this is the test the Muslims had that time, but they still had وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ, that with Allah they had good doubts, and they knew that the help of Allah was near, whereas the hypocrites, they were like, oh yeah, see, this is what your messenger brought you, this is what he was promised you, and they were on that different wrong beliefs and wrong doubts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us, as the prophets would say, Mata Nasrullah, when is the help of Allah coming? Not believing in it, but just to show how severe it was that the tests were. Allah passes from all the tests that come to us, and from the destruction of this dunya as well. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم.